Hey, well, welcome to Bethel Church Online, and thanks for tuning in to our Daily Hope devotionals. And all this week, our daily devos are basically building on last Sunday's message, last Sunday's teaching. We're in this series, Values That Build Vision, and the values that we're looking at really help us view life from God's perspective. They really inform the rest of our life, because whatever we truly value is going to shape our entire life. The value we looked at last Sunday was the letter E in Jesus, which is every person counts. We're going through an acronym, JESUS. Most would agree, much of the time in our world, that's not the case. Like, every person doesn't really count most of the time in our world. We've both been on the giving and the receiving end of that truth. One of the most amazing examples of this value is found in the story of Jesus' crucifixion, of all places. And I want to illustrate for you in just a few moments how Jesus lived and died for this value. Every person counts. Luke's gospel account is very telling. And you get to Luke chapter 23 and the scene of the crucifixion, verses 33 and 34 read this way. Two other men, both criminals, were also let out with him to be executed with Jesus. When they came to the place called the skull, right, Golgotha, they crucified him there, along with the criminals, one on his right, one on his left. Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." Now, if that isn't amazing enough, that Jesus asked God the Father to forgive the people who are driving stakes into his feet, into his hands. But this every person counts value even goes beyond that. Now, if you've ever been to Bethel San Jose campus, you have seen the three crosses at the entrance of the building. They are prominent. You can't miss them. And they come from this scene in Luke chapter 23. So I want you to picture the three crosses for a moment, especially if you've been to the San Jose campus. Picture those three crosses, because just a few verses later in this scene, one of the criminals on one of those crosses, Jesus is in the middle and you got one on the left, one on the right. One of those criminals begins to mock Jesus. Hey, if you're really Messiah, like, save yourself, and while you're at it, save me too. And the other criminal speaks up and calls him out and says, wait a minute, we deserve to be punished for our crimes. We deserve to die for our crimes. They're pretty bad characters if you're being crucified by Rome. I mean, it's just a fact. You're really a bad actor, or you're really hated by Rome, one or the other. That's who got crucified. But the guy goes on, the thief goes on, or the criminal goes on. This man has done no wrong, speaking to Jesus. And then in the most unexpected thing, I'm sure it's the most unexpected thing yet. Nobody expected this, but the guy turns to Jesus and he says, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And Jesus answers, I assure you, today you will be with me in paradise. Don't you find this scene amazing? It's almost scandalous. This guy, this criminal being crucified, put to death for his crimes, has to do nothing but believe. That's it. That's all he has to do, is believe. He would never have to go and right the wrongs that he's done, and that's a good thing to do. We're told to do that, but he wouldn't be able to do that. He's nailed to a cross. He would never be able to go and say, I'm so sorry for what I did. Please forgive me. He would never be able to serve another human being on earth in ministry. He would never be able to worship with other followers of God on earth. He would never have that opportunity on earth. He would never share his story of redemption on earth. He would never be baptized in water. But the one thing that he was able to do was believe. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And Jesus says, I assure you, today, you will be with me in paradise. It is another profound example of this core value. Every life counts. Beware of picking winners and losers. We talked about that last Sunday. Beware of allowing our mind to wander where certain people are worth my love, certain people are not. That is not God's way. Maybe there's someone in your life that you have written off. Maybe it has never even crossed your mind that they could come to faith in Jesus. You see them as unreachable. Maybe you even peg them as undeserving. Be careful. None of us are deserving. If that happens, or when that happens, when you begin to see someone just like that, remember the criminal on the cross. Remember. Never underestimate what Jesus will do in what seems to be the most unlikely person's life. Because I was that most unlikely person. Every life counts. Thanks for tuning in today to Bethel Online Daily Hope.